The march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Another major health threat, this one in Toledo, Ohio, where everybody in the entire city has been told not to drink the water.
Ohio's governor declaring a state of emergency.
Did you know that the average person uses about 80 to 100 gallons of water at home every single day? If there's a water emergency, will you be prepared?
Panicked residents forming long lines throughout the day.
We're here at a supermarket in Toledo. You can see the shelves empty where water once was.
To stay safe and healthy during a crisis, you must have access to safe, clean water. Water which will not be available at your local grocery store.
There's a mad dash on right now to stock up on supplies.
The ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system is a must-have for every modern, independently minded household. Protect your family's safety during an emergency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today to purchase your ProPure Pro 1 G2.0 water filtration system or call 1-888-253-3139. The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with Super Male or Super Female Vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put two and two together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds, is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled I-N-F-I-D-E-L, bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. You don't have to be a doctor to know. The fall and winter months are the most dangerous time of year in North America when it comes to you and your family's health. InfoWarsLife.com is very excited to announce our biggest run yet of Silver Bullet colloidal silver, exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. Now more than ever, it's important to stock up on high-quality Silver Bullet from InfoWarsLife.com. No survival chest is complete without Silver Bullet. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Silver Bullet.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Welcome to The Alex Jones Show. It is Wednesday, March 11th, 2015. I'm David Knight in the InfoWars News Center here in Austin, and joining us from the road is Alex Jones. He'll be hosting. Go ahead, Alex.
David Knight, thank you so much for doing a great job in the first half of the hour. Obviously, I was here ready to go, but I just like to mix the show up some when I'm on the road and let David get rolling with some of those special reports and his a unique brand of piercing analysis. And David will be back with us, popping in throughout the next few hours. And then he will host with some guests and calls in the third hour. I will drive back to Austin tomorrow, and we'll host live in studio Friday and on next Sunday's broadcast. This is our little abbreviated working spring break down here on the rainy coast. My son and daughters love to go fishing and deep sea fishing, so they're off with the grandparents doing that right now while we're here working from the hotel room. Again, Alex Jones coming to you from the Texas coastline. Yesterday, we had a pretty powerful 3-hour broadcast, and when David and I are both in there jousting to get as much info out, it's not competition, but it creates a energetic synergy that is extremely listenable and mixed in with all the facts and factoids and important info. But last night, as I was going to bed at about 10 o'clock, I was just laying there thinking about how historical a time we're in and how epic a time we're in, again, to use that word. and how the public really is in a trance. And just sitting there contemplating, I prayed to God. These are the times you pray. There are no atheists in foxholes, it's been said. I forget who said that. We should look up that quote. And I was thinking, yes, it's good that I rant and rave and scream and yell and hyperventilate. That's real. I'm like a caged animal desperately trying to get out. I mean, I know the globalists are closing in on us. I know they're hurting us. There's so many good people on this planet I want to protect because I want to be protected as well. It's mutual aid. And it's good that I get excited some. That's what's brought the big crowds of people, because the world is under a trance, under a conditioned incremental trance, to have learned helplessness and to basically have a normalcy bias to where you're an Aztec 1,000 years ago and you think it's normal to have your children hauled off to have their hearts cut out for the sun god, for the snake god. Or you're living in Nazi Germany and you think it's normal that 15 million Germans have died and there's still a year left of the war, and you're working 20 hours a day, and down the road there's a forced labor camp. And your cousin just got disappeared because he said Hitler was evil. Or it's normal 200 years ago if you lived in England to basically be 12 years old playing in your front yard, and men pull up in a carriage, knock you on the back of the head, tie you up, and an hour later you're thrown on a ship that takes off on a 3-year tour to the Pacific Ocean, and you are literally a slave on board that ship. Press gangs, legal and lawful, until they were abolished. And as that was being abolished, England then abolished slavery itself. But that's just an example of how evils can seem completely normal, and the first people that stand up to it and say it's wrong can be laughed at and ridiculed, but then overnight folks can turn against it. Airships like the Hindenburg, up until the early 30s, were in all the major skies of Europe and the United States. People were traveling on them across the country. Thousands were being built. Hundreds were in service, large ones. When the Hindenburg struck that pole and static electricity and exploded because it was using hydrogen, not helium, and burned. You say, well, why does that matter? Overnight, blimps fell out of airships. Dirigibles fell out of favor. Just like GMO was the biggest thing 20 years ago, now it's falling out of favor. They're taking it out of foods across the board. McDonald's is buckling, saying they're going to take it out. Huge victories are happening on a daily basis. So I want you to understand, as dark as it is, things can flip very quickly. We flipped into tyranny. Now they admit that there's hidden tech basically in everything, spying and listening to us. We can turn against that, start demanding it be removed, start lawsuits. It can be removed. But we first had to admit it was going on and be called crazy people 20 years ago. Listen, there was spy tech in the cable boxes and phones 20 years ago. It's all declassified. There were babies being grown in cow uteruses 20 years ago. And I would read mainstream scientific papers on air, but people didn't, general public, just listening to me on the radio said, you're crazy, it doesn't exist. Just like 20 years ago, we talk about spider goats. I use that as an example, because everybody knows about spider goats now. Part spider, part goat, produce body armor in their milk. I was called a kook for at least a decade talking about spider goats. But I knew that as it became mainline, people would then remember and go, oh, that guy wasn't a kook. So that's the bottom line. So I prayed last night and I said, God, what is the most important thing we can do? And when I woke up this morning, I mean, it was laid heavily upon me. And I don't usually get like this, but I privately pray. I don't talk a lot about my private relationship with Christ a lot, but it's very real. And God said, I already told you, and you said it yesterday, it's break the trance. And you do that by praying that God give us all guidance and open up our hearts and minds. You have free will. The people have chosen to believe the lie, and they've gone along with lies so much. Abortion, the NSA, the tyranny, but obviously it's just thousands of data points coming down. They need to be challenged to say, hey, okay, you want to be slaves? It's all here. You've had your choice. Now it's going to get much worse. And that's what the message is about. God laid on my heart is people all know the truth. They've just chosen to not believe it. A lot of people are choosing to now investigate for themselves and discover that it's much worse than I've said, because you cannot tell somebody about the Matrix. You got to see it. You got to see it for yourself. And that's what it comes down to, is we need to really figure out how to break people out of their trance. And the biggest way to do that is to cry out to God. And then God will begin to basically give you by increments discernment. And the more you act on that discernment, the more discernment God will give you. But people choose to be ignorant. They choose to not understand. They'd say to Christ, why do you speak in parables? And he wasn't speaking in parables, really. They just couldn't understand it because they were the profane. They had chosen lies so much throughout their lives that was their universe. So to hear the truth was a lie to them, because it would destroy the fraudulent world they lived in. And we can't be mad at these people that are in willful denial and under mind control. These are very sad victims that are the equivalent of little baby elephants that have been attacked by a pack of wild hyenas being dragged away with their little snouts being torn off. I mean, spiritually, they're just being torn apart by a bunch of sharks. They have this smile of mind control in their eyes, enjoying their destruction, enjoying their failure. But as we press with our will that God's given us, as we press on them, and as all this evil begins to manifest that was right below the surface, and as the evil intensifies, we're going to be attacked, and that is an incredible blessing. That is a sign of incredible victory. Now, I want to get into, just because Rob Dew did a report on it, and it's back in the news now, that Google is growing aborted baby parts. They've harvested them, the little darlings, and then they grow them in rats, in pigs, and in cows. Now, this is what Google's telling the public today, and I have the mainstream news articles about it, how great it is. They just report on it like it's no big deal, like the president was barbecuing children on the front lawn. That'd be the biggest scandal ever. But see, it's just dead babies, so it's no big deal. Humans turned into a total commodity. 5 years ago, people couldn't believe that Pepsi used baby parts for their flavor testing. But of course, now it's all over the news. And no big deal. What's wrong with baby parts? Same thing, here. I want to explain something to you. It was in scientific papers that the BBC mentioned in 1996 that I read. And they were talking about how great it was, about how in government labs, they were growing fetuses that they had basically caused inception in a test tube, and then they were implanting them in cows and growing them up in utero to larger than baby size, specially engineered to have larger organs. So you have to understand, as you hear about all this, human cloning, when they admitted it was going on in 1997, they declassified in England that the government had been cloning embryos for at least 25 years before that. So now we're back into the 70s. And then, of course, you learn it was going on even before that, back into the 50s. And now they're declassifying Nuremberg documents. You can look these up, where they were already cloning rabbits in the 40s in Nazi Germany. So see, the reason the elite are so arrogant is, folks, everything you've heard from me is what we can prove, and folks couldn't handle it. Let me tell you, I can extrapolate out where all this goes and see the predictive programming. We are in deep trouble. We are beyond a science fiction movie. It's real. And if you're in a trance, you don't understand that. But if you're conscious, it's incredible what's going on. And God laid it on me, and I want the crew to work with me on this, that I need to speak more. I need to get angry sometimes, but I need to be more poignant, and I need to talk slower, and I need to really give people time for this to sink in to break the trance. We've already woken up the people that weren't really in a trance, knew something was wrong, and heard some guy yelling and came and listened. And they already knew the truths that I was speaking that were already in their heart. I didn't tell you anything. We need to reach out to people that are in the trance and not be manipulative, not do a fake version of it, but a real version of it, of the way you speak to a child when they won't listen and keep going in the street. And you get them by the arm and you go, listen, I saw a little boy run over once.
and he was smashed all over the road like that dead deer. And if you go back out in the streets, you might end up getting run over and your guts are going to be all over the street. An old guy named Mr. Bruner